So I have two videos to show you. The first is about how the medical science is still rooted in stuff that happened hundreds of years ago. And the fact that we really need to stop using these things as fact when facts have shifted as life expectancy has shifted. So that's going to be the first video. The second video is going to be why women are putting off motherhood or deciding to forego motherhood in general. And these are things that really need to be addressed. Our birth rate throughout this country and many other countries that I have talked about will continue to plummet. It will continue to just fall down a cliff, whatever, off of a Grand Canyon type of mountain or plateau, until women's voices are heard and women and mothers are treated well in this society. But I don't see things changing because I don't see people actually listening to women. So watch these two videos. The first woman is debunking some typical things that are taken as fact. And then that next woman, she's just going all in on why women are choosing to be child-free. All right, you guys go ahead and weigh in on your thoughts. I'm not coming in on the back end.
The 35-year fertility cliff is the biggest myth of our time and is all based upon church data from the 1700s. And in case you aren't aware, I'm a biomedical scientist who debunks everything women's health. For a long time, when women turn 35, it's been treated as some form of fertility cliff. Even medically speaking, mothers are labelled geriatric and high risk. Yes, our eggs do decline over time, but this obsession we have with the age of 35, like there is some sort of fertility threshold, is completely outdated and non-scientific. So the data that this theory is built upon is from the 1700s and actually taken the birth records of people that went to church in France. They found that 1 in 3 women struggled to get pregnant over the ages of 35 within a year. The thing is though, is this was the 1700s, so the life expectancy back then was 37 years old. So at the end of the day, a woman conceiving over 35 was probably the least of their issues. This completely outdated research, unfortunately, has become woven into the general fabric of our society and is now known as a fact, even though it is completely and utterly a myth. I know what you're thinking, how has things got so out of hand? Well, think about it. It serves to keep this myth going as shaming and scaring women. At the end of the day, having a lack of knowledge surrounding our bodies equals a lack of power. What's crazy is so much fertility research has debunked this original 1700s research, but we barely know about it. For instance, in 2004, 770 women in Europe were studied, and it was found that if they do the deed twice a week for a year, they have a 78% chance of falling pregnant between the ages of 35 and 40. What's worse is when women are branded as high risk and geriatric as soon as they hit 35, it then causes natural stress upon the woman. This, of course, in any cases, any ages, will be negative for the woman and the baby. Medically speaking, this causes something known as a care cascade, which can often do more harm than good for the mother and baby. What's crazy is men too do actually have a biological clock, with their sperm quality decreasing over time, yet this is barely spoken about across media, society and the medical community.
Women aren't becoming moms anymore because it sucks. There's literally no incentive to become a mom anymore. Honestly, I'm not really sure that there ever was. But there certainly isn't now. Let's just start with pregnancy alone. For most women, it's horrible. There's not great health care. Once the baby is born, there's no parental leave, at least not paid anyways. Most women are forced to leave their babies after about 10 weeks. Most women also aren't checked up on in regards to postpartum depression and anxiety except for once, and that's in their 6-week checkup. Even though you can suffer from postpartum depression and symptoms of it for up to a year. And honestly, I think longer than that. The cost of living is astronomical, which means the cost of childcare is astronomical. If you're lucky enough to have a spouse who makes enough money that allows you to comfortably be able to stay home with your child, that's almost unheard of. And on the other end of the spectrum, sometimes childcare costs so much, it's more affordable for you to stay home than it is for you to go to work and pay for a child's daycare. There's practically no support whatsoever. There's no guarantee that the man that you married is going to, in fact, be an equal partner after your children are born. Statistically, we know that. Statistically, we know that mothers carry 2 times more of the domestic labor burden than men. We also know that that directly affects their mental health in terms of depression and anxiety. Now let's move past all of that. Let's talk about going to school, sending our kids to school in America right now. There's a high probability that they could get killed by an active shooter. And that's terrifying. And what's even more terrifying is that nobody fucking cares. Nobody in power gives a fuck. God forbid you have a daughter, because she's likely not going to have any bodily autonomy. She's not going to have any rights to her body. I wouldn't want to have a daughter in this day and age right now. You couldn't pay me to. Honestly, you couldn't pay me to have another kid right now, period. But let's also just move on from all of the shit that comes along with having kids. And let's talk about why you feel women's only purpose in this life is to bear children. Why can't they have fulfilling lives outside of that? Why are women's only source of fulfillment supposed to be from children? Because it benefits you, it benefits men, it benefits the economy, it benefits capitalism. When women stop having babies, it no longer is beneficial to a patriarchal society, i.e. you, a man. So when this world and this society makes it more enticing for women to have children, maybe they'll consider it, or maybe they won't, because you don't have to have kids in order to have a fulfilled life.